Very interesting, and certainly I endorse your vision, and I support you. And there's a lot of very good things that you have proposed today. I have a couple of comments. First of all, I am the chairman of Gertrude's Children's Hospital, and we are a private hospital. And I think that you're a little bit unfair in your comments on the private hospital group, as it were, because between them, they are owed billions of shillings. Aga Khan, the major ones, Aga Khan, Mater, us, Nairobi Hospital, and it's because the services are provided. And it was a very good idea, and I think the problem with healthcare in this country is just the financing of it. And I think, as you were saying, that we should be paying more, because if you look at the developed world, the proportion of GDP that is put into healthcare, I mean, in the States, is about 10–15%, I believe, into healthcare. In this country, it's a very, very small proportion, and it's the whole financing issue that is very, very complex and has got to be dealt with. And there just isn't the resource base to provide the income for the level of demand that there is. But there's a lot of good work being done. But also, you know, Gertrude's works with the public hospitals as well. And as you say, they do not provide the services. That, you know, and a lot of it is due to the demotivation of the staff, and they're all doing their own thing. And as you say, it's a structural issue that needs to be addressed at the high level, because there's nothing I believe in more than UHC, and I think it's critical that we've got to widen the UHC, Universal Healthcare net, so that everybody is covered. And it's a challenge, you know. The private hospitals have their role, but we've got to expand the role of the public hospitals, because that's where the demand is being dealt with at the sort of the grassroots level. I think the other thing, two things. First of all, I'd just like to emphasize to everybody here how, you know, that the change in the last 10 years, well, obviously, you know, in the Moi era, things really didn't change much, but the change this millennium have just been extraordinary. And I think it's put Nairobi into, because I also have businesses, my other business is Davis and Shirtliff, and I have branches in many countries in the region, and I visit all these capitals. Nairobi, by a mile, is the best city in the region. And you know, the expressway, as you were saying, the investment that's been done in this country, and in Nairobi particularly, has lifted Nairobi to a different level. And its potential is enormous. You know, it's geographically in the right place. It's got very intelligent and well-educated people. As you say, the education system is very good. And we've now got the resources. And I was just talking, I mean, I live in Muthaiga. It took me 10 minutes to get here today. And, you know, just the way that the transport system has been developed, and some of the ideas, and the railway city, there's some such good ideas. And the city has got the potential to be a really world-class centre. You know, right up there with New York and Paris and so on, and London, in this part of the world. And I think that's your challenge, is to try and to create that. But I think the other thing is, the key issue is revenue generation for you guys. And you're talking about 80 billion, but you know, there's certain, and fiscal discipline is critical. And if you can create fiscal discipline, and as you say, pay bills and have people supporting you, then I think that you will do extremely well. And that really is the heart of the problem, is getting fiscal discipline, not just into Nairobi City Council, but into the country. And one thing I would suggest, where, you know, you mentioned about bringing rates down, certainly land, the rateable potential for revenue generation is huge in this country. And, you know, I in Muthaiga have a very nice house. I'm paying about £500 a year rent rates, which is ridiculously low. And I think, you know, the whole of the rental, you've got to assess the values of the properties in the county, and put the rates up, and then of course widen the network, and that will be your main revenue base. And you know, in the big cities of the world, that is the main revenue base for financing. Is rates. And there are these other ways, parking and so on, but that's never going to create huge revenue streams. And I think that really, that if you could, the revision of the rateable properties in this town, in the city, will really create the income stream that you need to create, hopefully, fiscal discipline that will enable you to finance what needs to be done here. And you know, I feel that is an important area that you should be considering. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much, Alec. I'm so happy that has come from a Muthaiga resident. And thanks for the work you do for this country in the water sector. There is a valuation role, a brand new valuation role for Nairobi that's been done with the support of the World Bank. That will be launched because all this infrastructure, people are paying rates based on 1982 values, basically. But you know, we're in a campaign season, you're looking for votes. That does not win you votes. What we really must look at is, yes, we shall implement the valuation role, but the rate, percentage of rate, as you expand the base, but you put it perfectly as, let me summarize this way. If there is anything this country requires, is fiscal discipline and civic discipline. Two things, fiscal discipline and civic discipline. Civic discipline starts with voting the right way. Civic discipline is the precursor to fiscal discipline. Civic discipline means nidhamu ya mwananchi, and it starts at the ballot. That's where civic discipline for me is a precursor to fiscal discipline. Because if civic indiscipline leads to leaders who have no idea about fiscal discipline and have no experience about fiscal discipline, then we end up with the situation we're in. I'm totally with you around rates becoming the biggest thing, and charitable institutions like Gertrude. I think Gertrude is a charity. Most of the hospitals that you talk to, they happen to be charitable institutions that offer public services. They continue to suffer. They are part of the class I talked about, faith. Maybe I left the charitable institution. The Aga Khan is a charitable hospital organization. The Nairobi Hospital Association is also a form of charity. But this seems to be third-class citizens when it comes to paying of invoices by NHIF. My issue with NHIF still remains that the institutions that exist made by an individual seems to be having the upper hand of getting the invoices settled, rather than the ones that are more charitable, faith-based, and public. That remains. But that is why this contest, electoral contest of Nairobi, you've really touched the heart of it. The electoral contest of Nairobi is who is more fiscally disciplined. Is it me, Igathe, or is it my competitor? Is it this party we are calling Azimio la Umoja, or is it our competitor? Who can you trust? And I like the way Martha Karua puts it. Who can you trust to send your child? You know, we all have children. I have 3, but there's who can you trust the most to give 5,000 shillings to go to the supermarket and buy the weekly shopping for the family and be able to bring it back home? This is never before has character, competence, and capability ever been an issue in an election more than Tuesday, 9th August. I'm calling it Epiphany Tuesday. That is when the penny will drop. Whether Kenyans, we are disciplined or we are indisciplined. Because it is discipline on the ballot versus indiscipline.
Okay, I need to wind it up here, but I'm going to just literally one quick question if you haven't spoken, and I'm only going to pick 2. So Titus, and for gender balance, this lady here. So we could start with you, and then Titus, and then Polycarp can answer both together if that's okay. And I'm really sorry to everybody else. I'm sure he'll hang around, maybe, hopefully, but let's see.
All right, thank you very much. My name is Diana Sifuna. I'm the CEO of Jonathan Jackson Foundation, a non-governmental organization, youth